This is Phil Lamar, and you are listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
Execute Order 66.
You're listening to the 5-year celebration of the GeekCast Radio Network. Unleash the geek in you.
Stroke the Wookiee.
Daniel Craig's my Wookiee bitch now.
Daniel Craig is my Wookiee bitch now.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Hello and welcome to GeekCast Radio. This is episode 66, and this is the rank of Star Wars, or I guess you could say the rancor of Star Wars if you'd like. I am your host, one of your hosts, TFG1 Mike. Joining me is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello.
And joining us, we've done so many episodes of GCR, I have no idea when the last time this guy was on one of these episodes. I honestly don't know if he's been on any of the GCR episodes itself. But we have Super Star Wars fan Michael Wilson with us. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going.
I'm pretty sure I've been on GCRN.
No. I don't know if
He's saying he doesn't remember the last time you were.
On the flagship podcast. Yes, you're on the network. You're on all the Transformers stuff and everything else. But
no, that's what I was saying. I'm pretty sure I have been on the flagship at least once.
I honestly don't remember. I just can't.
I can't place it either.
In 5 years, we've done probably over 100 episodes, but in the numbered scheme of my numbering, we're only up to the 66th episode in 5 years of the network. So it's like I don't remember. I just don't remember. So
I don't remember either. If it were that important, I'd probably remember.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So
I remember that for $1.
Oh god.
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't possibly.
Wrong franchise. All right, so we have spent, Steve, I believe it's close to 6.5 hours on Star Wars coverage.
I would
for the
say
network.
that's a fair assessment.
Okay, well, here's the thing, people. Way back in MWIRE, Movie Week in Review, we did episode 75, parts 1 and part 2. Part 1 was the original trilogy where we all went in depth on our thoughts of the Star Wars original trilogy. Part 2 was where we bashed the hell out of, I assume, because I haven't listened to it in a long-ass time, where we bashed the hell out of the prequel trilogy. So those two podcasts in total are just north of 5 hours. And then we did the Spaceballs coverage, which, okay, technically it's not in the Star Wars universe, but it is a spoof of Star Wars and is easily better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones combined.
We also did the Star Wars versus Star Trek episode, which was about 4 hours of arguing about Star Wars.
Actually, that was three hours and something. So
it was really long. Yeah, there was a lot of
there
was a lot of debate going on there.
Our Star Wars coverage is probably in the range of 9.5, maybe 10 hours total in the past 5 years.
That'll change.
Oh
yeah.
Come on now.
We could have a show on we could have a show on Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
We could have a show on Clone Wars. Actually, that was a good show. TV series lasted about 5 seasons.
I'm in the middle.
6 seasons.
Yep. I'm in the middle of currently restructuring how I want to do the Tooncast Beyond format as far as releases. So we'll have to talk about those at a later date. But we are here today to. Originally, I wanted to do a retrospective. We've done retrospectives enough so far for Star Wars. We talk about it all the time anyway. All of us do. Optimus Solo could not be here because Greedo shot him.
No, the pizza bludgeoned him.
Pizza the Hut?
No, Pizza the Hut. He would have eaten Pizza the Hut.
That's true.
You're a delicious boss.
So we've done all this retrospective stuff in the past, and so Optimus Solo pointed that out to me, and I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? we have plans for GCR to do many top 10 episodes, whether it be top 10 films, whether it be top 10, any kind of countdowns in the future. Optimus Soul and I are actually in the process of planning, I believe it's either 5 or 10 episodes for next year, either 5 or 10 Star Wars countdowns to lead up to the release of Episode 7. Yeah.
Scary.
Well, it would be like what we did with the top 10 film thing that we did. So it's not a gigantic top 100 thing that we usually do. It's something on a much smaller scale. But I figured, okay, well, we're pretty much a year out from Episode 7. Let's kind of go back and talk about how we each, because honestly, I don't re-listen to a lot of the old episodes on anything that I do. So I don't remember half the crap that was said in the MWIRE episodes.
I do.
Yeah, you remember everything.
Unfortunately.
Yes. So this overly long intro of mine here is basically to tell you that we are here to talk about Star Wars. We're each going to give how we each get into the franchise here in the intro, and then we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we are actually going to rank the 6 films, the 6 current released films, from worst to best. And then after that, we're going to talk about some other stuff later on. So, Steve, how did you first get into Star Wars? Was it the toys? Was it the films? What was it?
I was introduced to it after getting into Star Trek. My brother actually got 3 VHS tapes of the original trilogy for his birthday, to which he watched the crap out of them. I watched Star Trek. So the rivalry began as early as that. I liked Star Wars, the original trilogy. And then my stepdad likes it as well, so that kind of helped cement that in. Whereas my family was all Star Trek, so it kind of gave me that little bit of a balance. And then we got to see like the remastered, and then he had tickets for the Phantom Menace before, like a month before it came out.
Oh wow!
Because they had a mass pre-order. Everybody did in our area, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At minimum, it was like 2-3 weeks out. So they had he had it already ready, and saw it in theater. At the time, was kind of impressed, but it still was no Star Trek to me, or no original trilogy.
That was fighting words. But
yes. So. While it wasn't terrible, it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I could see that they tried to give it the new vibe, but or the old vibe. But again, that was how I first started in it. Attack of the Clones, I never saw in theater. I watched that on DVD, and then Revenge of the Sith, I saw in theater.
Mm-hmm. I remember I didn't see any of the originals in theaters, because by the time Jedi came out, I was 3 years old. So yay! Michael is the oldest of the 3 of us here. Yay!
Yeah, great for old people.
That's right.
Way to rub it in, Blanchard.
I know, right?
I'm gonna feel really old when I tell you guys that I saw the original. A New Hope in theaters. Back before they called it A New Hope.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars.
It's called Star Wars, yeah. That's the name of the movie.
There is no New Hope.
Yeah, I saw it I want to say when I was 5, and I had all the toys. I was too young to be proud of myself for being a completionist, but I totally was. I have a lot of happy memories about all the action figures and the starships.
And then Devastator ripped their face off.
No, I didn't get. I mean, there was no Devastator for years and years, but in fact, and this is, I've probably told this story 5 or 6 times already, but I had all these Star Wars toys up through Return of the Jedi, And around 1982 or so, I started playing with He-Man a lot. And my mom said, well, you're playing with He-Man. Do you still want these Star Wars toys? And I went, nah, not really. It's okay. And she sold them for like a penny on the dollar or something.
Oh, my God.
Oh yeah. If I could have been heartbroken about it, I would have been.
Mm-hmm.
I was heartbroken when I started collecting Transformers, and my mom said, do you really want this, all this He-Man stuff? And I went, not really, and then she sold all that. I had like everything He-Man, and she sold it for like $40, which in inflationary dollars might be like 65, but regardless, it was pennies on the dollar, and she got rid of it all. And oh man, now that I'm older, it really hurts because man, that would have been really cool to have nowadays. All that stuff would have been awesome to have.
I know.
Yeah.
Specifically for the monetary value, because it would be way more than $65, even if it was poor condition. Like I was saying, for me, it was kind of weird because I had seen. I really confused. I think it was around '87. I had really confused, which I don't know how I did this, but I confused A New Hope with the Ewoks cartoon. No, not the Ewoks, the Droids cartoon. Because I always thought the droids did more in the movie than what they actually do. And with A New Hope, I was just, even at 7 years old, at the end, I was like, wait, that's it? Where's the rest of the movie? What's going on here? That's all? What a crock!
They blow up the Death Star. That's all there is.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's true.
They blow up the Death Star, and Chewbacca doesn't get a medal, and then that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. And then Empire. I saw Empire, and Empire, as a kid, I liked it. I think Empire. I could be wrong, and Michael and Steve, you guys both have kids, so maybe. Well, Steve, your boy isn't old enough yet, but. Michael, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. To me, as a kid, Empire was a horror movie. I'm not saying it's a horror movie in the truest sense, but Jesus Christ, a lot of the scenes in Empire as a 7-year-old scared the crap out of me.
Really?
Yeah.
How old was I when Empire came out?
87, you were about 17. I think that's right.
What? I was born in 73, so I was about 11.
Way to go with your math.
No, 14 actually. So I was 3 years off.
My math is awful. Wait, my math is awful because
I was off by 3 years. I said
in
17.
84 I was 11. All right, so
I said 17 and you were actually 14. So I was only 3 years off, so it wasn't that bad.
No, it would have been 13. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyway, so I don't know.
I'm old. I get it. Yeah.
And then Jedi was as a kid. Now keep in mind, as a kid, Jedi was the comedy one because obviously you have the Ewoks and all this and all that, and you have all these weird looking aliens that are now pilots in the Rebel Alliance. I just didn't get that as a kid. But what I absolutely loved, and this goes back to the old days when I used to collect things, when they originally came out on video cassette. The boxes for each of they don't make box art like this anymore. They just don't. The first film, you've got Darth Vader's head in the background. You've got Luke, Leia, and Han and the droids. The second one, again, is Darth in the background with Empire Strikes Back. VHS cover to me looks like an old Harlequin romance novel because you've got Luke, or you've got Han and Leia looking like they're going to kiss, and then Jedi just looks like a straight action movie. When it comes to the prequels, I saw Phantom Menace in theaters. I regret it to this day. It was a fun, going to the theater adventure, but the movie, Attack of the Clones, I don't remember if I saw that in theaters or not. And Revenge of the Sith, I know I didn't because that was the beginnings of people giving me bootlegged stuff because I actually saw it before it came out.
And you still didn't go see it anyway? I would have gone and saw it.
I would have. I would have, but I didn't.
There's definitely something to be said for seeing something on the big screen.
The one thing that I do remember is with Phantom Menace, regardless of how awful that movie is, the theater I went to, we walked in, and there was a poster in there, and I kid you not, I was like, wait, no, what is that? It was a Revenge of the Jedi poster. And I'm like, Revenge of the Jedi, May 20-something, 1983. Well, what? I had never seen it before. Because I know that was the original. It was one of the original working titles of Return of the Jedi, and I guess somebody went to Lucas and said, "Hey, or maybe it was his promotional department that came up with that, and he went to them and said, yeah, Jedis don't seek revenge."
Yeah,
so
not their thing.
So that's how I kind of came into it. I like the original trilogy a lot. There's a lot of quotable lines from the original trilogy. What I love about the prequels is that we finally get to see R2-D2 kick ass, and I don't care what any other Star Wars fan says, seeing R2 fly was awesome.
Sigh.
Oh, stop.
Seeing R2 fly was just another reminder of what a shoestring budget the first movie was. First couple of actually, yeah. I think if Lucas could have pulled it off, he would have made R2 fly in somewhere around Return of the Jedi, just for the hell of it.
As far as the rest of the franchise, I wasn't really into the toys. I watched several of the animated series that have been out over the years. I still have yet to really get into the Clone Wars. I did try to watch Clone Wars, the Tartakovsky, the
Genndy Tartakovsky,
yeah, whatever his name is.
That was a very interesting series.
I tried watching it. I can't get past the animation style. Is really the only thing I have wrong with that series. Yeah. I do need to go back and kind of rewatch Clone Wars, and I'm kind of interested in Rebels. But I don't know.
I'm kind of interested in Rebels because they say it's going to tie into the new trilogy.
See, I thought it was originally when I saw a plot synopsis for it or something or other, it said it was going to be in between Sith and Hope, like in between episode 3 and 4. But it probably has changed since then. I don't know. I think we need to go ahead and get to the ranking of Star Wars after this.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Hello, geeks. Want a podcast that covers a vast array of topics with no rhyme or reason? Then check out Altered Geek Unlimited, where the topics fly more or less off the cuff. We cover media news, TV, our favorite geek products, and of course, your feedback. So get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks every Friday on the GeekCast Radio Network.
We're all power in the French shield.
You're going to attack them?
Sir, the odds of surviving a direct assault on an Imperial Star Destroyer.
Shut up!
So let's say you're looking for a podcast of your favorite 80s comic books, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, etc. Where are you going to go to find us?
Welcome to Star Joe's Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Chuck. That's right, everybody. We're the Star Joes. We host a podcast called Star Joe's Podcast, where we talk about your favorite comic books, your favorite toys of all the 80s properties.
Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, Thundercats, Voltron, you name it, we cover it. If it's in the 80s, we'll cover it at some point.
Yes, so what you want to do to find us, you can go to iTunes, you can go to www.starjoes.com.
And remember, the Force will be with you.
Because knowing us is half the battle.
Prequel, you tell that slimy piece of worm-ridden filth he'll get no such pleasure from us, right?
All right, so from best to worst, the top 6 Star Wars films, best to worst. Michael, what is your number 6 worst? This would be the absolute worst of the 6 films.
Would it be The Phantom Menace?
Can we all agree on that?
Let's just throw it out there.
I want to say so.
Okay, so all of us have number 6 is The Phantom Menace.
Unanimous.
Okay.
The eyes have it.
The eyes. The
eyes have it.
Wow.
Never tell me the odds.
Well, the eyes have it as Starscream. But anyway,
that was intentional.
Yes, I know. It basically floated right over Michael's head. So, The Phantom Menace, while it is visually stunning, the plot for that movie is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that being a Jedi is no longer a religion and it is bacteria, that's ridiculous. Or not being the Force, being some sort of religious belief or something or other. Instead of it being that, it's bacteria in your body. That's a little, what the hell's wrong with you, Lucas? I foresee us asking that question a lot this episode. What the hell is wrong with you, Lucas?
What the hell is wrong with Lucas? On the one hand, it's like, yeah, you want to be able to explain how it passes from father to son.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be genetic. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, come on. It's an energy field that connects us and binds us.
Wrong in the head it is.
The tree, the rock.
Lucas E.B.
The rock's alive? I saw it move once.
The other thing I find absolutely implausible with Phantom Menace is the fact that young Anakin Skywalker can just become a pilot. This kid is, 7, 8, 9 years old, something like that. I don't even remember how old the kid's supposed to be in the movie. But he just, like any stupid Transformers cartoon kid just jumps in a spaceship and just starts hitting buttons randomly. And, oh, that works. Oh, that works.
That's how I did it. I jumped in and hit buttons randomly. That was awful. That was on kin to Jar Jar Binks winning an entire war by tripping over robot parts. It's like, what? How am I still alive? Oh, I'm an idiot. That's how that happened.
What else don't we like? Okay, wait, because it'd probably be easier to say this. What do you guys like about the Phantom Menace? Anything?
Well, I like the hologram of Palpatine's Darth Sidious. Like, I like the fact that he didn't have to actually be there, but he could project it. And you knew it was him, but yet nobody else did at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that was interesting. I mean, I kind of expected him to be there. I expected Sidious to be there. I didn't completely expect Palpatine to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool.
What I didn't expect about that whole thing was that as Palpatine, Ian what's his last name? Not McDermott. McDermott, yeah. Ian McDermott. I didn't expect him as Palpatine to look so young. Because I've always seen the guy as old, decrepit emperor. Well, okay, he's not always decrepit, but...
Well, the funny part about that is it actually worked out well that he came back to do the prequels.
Yeah.
Because his body... Because when you get older, like the thinness of your face and everything goes away and everything else, like when you get to your 60s and everything, and or late 50s and everything. But
well, geez, late 50s, you're not far away, Michael.
I wasn't.
Thanks.
I know
quiet
you
there,
were.
Blanchard.
I know you were. I was.
But anyways, I was trying to say that he was real young when he went and did the Emperor the first time, so he was a lot thinner, so it actually worked with the more frail version of the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas playing Palpatine, he actually looks his age.
Right.
Yeah.
If not younger, just because of the character. So I always thought that was kind of interesting how that just happened to work out that way.
Oh, absolutely. No, because I wasn't sure how they were going to do... I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. And I mean, oh my God. He's only 69 years old. Holy crap. He looks so much older in real life than what he actually is, even without the Emperor makeup. Wow. No, seriously. Yeah, that's a trap. Other things I liked about Phantom Menace, if it wasn't for the fact that they had to use, the pod racing stuff, if it wasn't for the fact that Annie is the only human that can do it, I like the pod racing stuff outside of that.
Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah, I know. This is the first time I really ever saw, I don't know, I could be wrong. It was the first time I ever saw a Liam Neeson movie. I like him as Qui-Gon. It's strange to see him now in that role after seeing him in some other things that he's done in the past 6 or 7 years. But seeing a young Obi-Wan as Ewan McGregor, that was really interesting how they were going to kind of emulate or find an actor that could emulate a young Alec Guinness.
Find a guy who could do the accent.
Yeah, that's true too.
He's got the Obi-Wan accent dead on.
Oh, absolutely. I forget if it's you, Michael, or if it's somebody else that always argues about this. I liked the lightsaber battle between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, and somebody used to argue, but that double-edged lightsaber, that had just cut his own hand off, or that had cut his head off if he spins it above his head or something else. And I'm thinking, this is make-believe, people.
No, I've seen Ray Park do that in person.
Oh, okay.
I was at a convention and Ray Park was there, and he was surrounded by, I don't want to say like people in general, but like little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he would take them aside one at a time, give them a lightsaber or a Maul lightsaber, and show them how to do the spin move.
Oh wow!
And then he would like swing a lightsaber at them, and the little kid would do the spin move, and he was just being really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really cool with the kids. And I didn't have kids at the time, but if I did, I'd be like, wow, I can't wait for my kids to meet Ray Park. But yeah, he could totally do all those moves. Totally did it. I think my big problem is that, the huge lightsaber battle in A New Hope, right, is Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader basically kind of like moving like statues, like Rock'em Sock'em robots, and they're just like, and full well that 30 years earlier, right, you get to Revenge of the Sith, and you end up with they're leaping and they're fighting, and I have the high ground. It's like, well, where was that on the Death Star?
Well, yeah, but on the Death Star they were both very, very old men.
Yoda is 900 years old, and his ass is doing spin kicks. So your argument is invalid.
All right. So number 5, Steve. What is your number 5?
Attack of the Clones.
Are we unanimous on what number 5 is? Michael,
yes.
What is your? Yeah.
That's number 5. Attack of the Clones.
I have here. The clones are coming. The clones are coming.
Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
Yeah. A bunny rabbit, George. Anyway, Attack of the Clones.
You got your love story in my action movie.
Exactly.
Wait, you just got your action movie in my love story. Oh God!
You just have a big ass mess with this film.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I hate sand. It gets everywhere.
That's what she said.
It's in my ass. It's in my ears. The sand get in your ass? That's how romantic this movie is. The sand in your ass?
Well, just ask Luke ass.
Pretty sure there's some pretty sure there's some sand in your Luke ass.
Wow.
It's just an awful line. Just a terrible line. And the whole thing is like
emo Anakin.
Oh man, it was just so bad. I didn't like the little tow-headed little kid who just gets lucky and blows up entire starships. And I certainly didn't like the emo teenager who's just like, oh, everybody hates me, man. And
yeah.
You mean the queen that had jailbait?
Oh,
yeah. It's like when they met, yeah, like he was 8 and she was like 14 or something, and you're like, yeah, they're gonna get married. Yeah, that's gonna happen.
He's like, I'm so gonna go after that.
You know, no, he met up with her again.
He told
and he's
her
like, why doesn't he love me? Or, I bet, and this is my internal thinking here is that he used a Jedi mind trick on her. He totally did. He's like, I love her and she doesn't notice me. Ah, and then he's like, you will marry me, and she's like, fuck yeah, I'll marry you.
He did the hand trick and says, I will tap that.
I will tap. And it had a little tapping motion with his hand as he did it. I tap that. Tap, tap, tap.
That's horrible.
It is horrible, but he was in her bedroom at night, so. But then again, so with little scorpion things.
I could have. Yeah.
Oh, man, we almost descended into tentacle porn again. Why does this always happen?
That scorpion is really knocking on her door.
Well, Jabba's not there to chain her up, so.
Oh God! Can you just imagine a slave Queen Amidala? Oh God! Now I could have sworn
it'd be nicer than a modern day slave Leia.
Well, it depends on who the model is for modern day slave Leia.
No, I'm saying if it were the original.
For Carrie Fisher.
I said it'd be better than the original.
We're getting all kinds of creepy.
Squirming over here. I'm like,
my eyes are burning.
Wait a second. Oh, I gotta get this metal bikini to reach down to my waist. Hold on a second. Gotta scoop them up.
I can no longer.
Where's the plow?
Wear this thong. I have to get the metal granny panties.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Yes,
it's a trap.
Yes, it's a trap. I cannot confirm this, and I've said this before on other podcasts, I could have sworn during the filming or during the release of this movie that, Christensen and Portman were dating. But everywhere I've looked online for either one of them does not say that they ever dated. But I could have sworn they were at the time of filming this movie because I think it was Lucas or one of the producers or somebody said that's why their chemistry is so good because they're actually dating.
God, their chemistry was awful.
Well,
that's why
the writing was awful. But yeah,
they were.
They were dating.
Yeah,
that makes no sense whatsoever.
I don't know. But anyway,
he was awful. That's why. Yeah. That's why the movies were so bad.
Michael is right. Get your love story out of my action movie, damn it. Like, seriously, do we really need to see that? Like, we needed to see that long on Naboo. That scene could have been 5 minutes. And, 5 minutes of frolicking in the grass. Next thing you know, they're knocking boots. And by the third movie, she's pregnant. Bingo, there you go. You don't need a 15-minute love scene of them frolicking in the grass. Oh, God.
There was actually love scenes that got deleted.
Oh my God! I don't even want to know.
They extended it.
While on Naboo, right? On Naboo, she took him back to meet her parents. They went to her family's home and had dinner with the family. And then at some point, they said, "Whoa, this is way too much stuff going on. We got to delete all this."
Never mind. I'm thinking, wait a second, he already knows Senator Organa, but that's Leia's stepfather. Never mind. I was going in a whole other direction, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to number 4. Now, this is where I think all of our lists are going to differ. From number 4 to number 1, I think all of our lists are going to differ. Michael, what is your number 4?
Number 4 is Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Yeah. Mine just kind of went backwards from the new trilogy and then forwards from the original trilogy.
Aha. All right.
I'm easy.
That's what she said.
Exactly what she said.
What?
I would have been disappointed if you hadn't knocked that one down that I set up so nicely.
Yeah.
I tipped it over with a bat. I kicked it and buried it with a shovel.
Cut it down with my lightsaber.
What was it about number 4 that, wait.
What about Revenge of the Sith that make it number 4?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the original trilogy was plagued with just bad acting and questionable writing, right? But the whole time you knew that somewhere along the line we got to get Darth Vader out of this, right? At some point, Anakin's whining and emo-ness, and if that's a word, emo-ness, I coin it now, is going to go bad for him, and he's gonna end up, turning evil, and he goes back to Naboo and finds his mom dead, kills everybody, and then he's like, all right, now I'm just ready to turn evil. And he teams up with Senator Palpatine, who finally, no, he's the Emperor now, And I mean, like not Supreme Chancellor, but full on evil Emperor. Like, I'm ready to take over and just lay it all on the table. Say I'm evil. So now he's got these yellow eyes. He kills a bunch of kids. I mean, how dark is that?
Yeah.
And then the whole Mustafar. That, in my opinion, the whole Mustafar fight was where he kind of redeems the character, not redeems the character in the sense that I'm good now, but it redeems as in I'm not a complete piece of crap as a character.
Yeah,
I'm not a train wreck on the written page.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that was really cool. They even tried to make it lame. It's like, you were the chosen one, now you're fricassee. They tried to make it, tried to lighten it a little bit because it's really dark stuff.
Yeah.
And you're in a volcano and you're fighting and there's lava everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I even liked the no scene.
No,
I did. I liked it.
The emo James Earl Jones.
No, yeah, I like that.
As much as I love James Earl Jones, that line should have not been in that script.
That was Lucas.
Why not?
What happened is James Earl Jones burnt a piece of toast, and Lucas heard it and he recorded it.
Lucas went,
and he's like, oh, well, I have to include this scene now.
Lucas went to James Earl Jones and said, can I borrow your Ferrari? And he goes, oh, of course you may. And he gives him his Ferrari. And he comes back and says, James, I'm sorry. I wrecked your Ferrari. And he hands him back like a broken Ferrari fender. And James Earl Jones goes, no!
So burnt toast, I guess, in the Star Wars universe, that would be Darth Toast. Yes. What about you, Steve, for number 4?
This is where it gets funky. Empire Strikes Back.
Why would you say that? That's not true.
Reasons.
That's impossible.
While it's a good movie, that's the one that out of the original trilogy, I find I can watch the least. Only for the fact that, and I'll get into the other points of the other films later, but there's a few redeeming qualities of 3 that I've chosen to only remember those pieces that almost trump over Empire Strikes Back. Actually, maybe I'm going to change Empire Strikes Back to just A New Hope. Empire Strikes Back deserves to be higher only because Vader and Luke's epic scene. So I'm going to say A New Hope.
Okay.
Because it's on the sand planet.
It bothers me that you would even say that because this movie has so many epic scenes.
Which one?
Empire. Yeah.
Yeah, I started to remember them after I put it in that position, and then I was like, oh yeah, it can't go this low.
Man.
So Steve's number 4 is
A New Hope.
Yes. And mine is a new hype. The only problem I have, only 2 problems I have with A New Hope is number 1, Leia kisses her brother, even though she doesn't know it's her brother.
No. And in fact, at that point, that wasn't even the story.
Well, I don't care what the story.
It was a heartfelt moment.
You know, I mean that just in retrospect, it's creepy as all hell.
And you like it.
No, not at all.
If you don't know who your father is, you don't really know who your sister is.
That's Obi-Wan's fault for not spilling the beans on that one. He knew the whole time. He's like, oh yeah.
Obi-Wan's like, did you kiss her with tongue? And he goes, yeah, it was awesome. It's like,
and he's watching from the shadow zone. He's like,
it's a Force ghost kind of cringing and going, oh God.
He's telling Qui-Gon, hey, come over here and look at this.
Come over here and look at this. This is really awful.
The other thing that I hold against A New Hope is that it just ends. It doesn't, like, if this is supposed to be a trilogy of films, A New Hope came out in 77, Empire 80, and Jedi 83. If this is supposed to be a trilogy of films, do what a 1985 film would have done, which is say, to be continued. Don't just end it. At least with Empire, we're left on a cliffhanger, even though, Empire is a down.
You realize this movie came out in 77, right? So that wasn't doing the 1985 to be continued stuff.
Yes, I understand that, but they could have.
Yeah.
He could have. Well, he could have.
The thing is they didn't know if it was actually going to take off. So putting that at the end would be kind of asinine.
Yeah, that's true.
It was the first one of the trilogy, and usually when you're launching a new franchise, you kind of play it safe, like, this is the only story, and then you're like, oh, it made boatloads of cash. Here's a new story.
Well, if you look back on it, you see that Fox had so little confidence in this movie that they gave a lot of the rights back to Lucas.
Which was stupid on their behalf.
Exactly. Lucas said, well, I'll tell you what, I want full control of merchandising and the story that we wrote, and then I'll take a huge colossal pay cut as director. And they're like, yeah, deal. Okay, cool, because we can not pay you for this, and then when it goes to hell, then we look good, and it didn't go to hell. Everything worked out in Lucas's favor at that point. Well, he had all the rights.
Everybody went and saw it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Star Wars summer, yeah.
Yep.
And that's why Star Trek 2 years later had to play catch up. But their film sucked.
The original Star Trek movie sucked, do you think?
The first one, the motion picture. That was so batshit terrible.
To be honest,
it wasn't until the Wrath of Khan it actually got good again.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Because I watch Wrath of Khan about once a year, but I haven't watched the original one in a long, long time.
The original one's terrible. they played the 20-minute, the half hour, 45-minute reassembling the crew, and then they threw out the story, and then it just falls to shit.
A New Hope, numbers 4 through 1 for me. I like them all individually, but I still had to rank them. New Hope only gets a number 4 spot for me simply because of the way it ended, and I understand it. Ended that way for a reason, but I remember as a kid, and even now, every time I watch it, I'm like, but I want more. I want to know what happened next. And of course, I can just pop in Empire, but so, all right, number 3, Michael. What is your number 3?
Return of the Jedi.
What? Why?
Number 3 was Return.
Oh, geez.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why number 3 is Return of the Jedi. It's because number 3 is a complete rehash of number 1.
No, it's not.
It totally is.
Well, yeah, at the end when they go to fight the second Death Star, it is. Yeah, but
wait for it. You have you start on Tatooine, right? And they have to overcome some stuff, and they
have to rescue somebody.
Yeah, they go into a dark place with a lot of aliens, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then there's a Luke and Leia swinging on a vine type of thing going on there. Mirroring the Death Star swing. And that happened when they escaped from the sail barge. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There were fuzzy animals involved, and
There were
and
there
the
were
Death Star blew up.
I was gonna say, wait a second, there were no fuzzy animals in episode 4, but yes, there were. Okay.
Yeah. And the Death Star blew up. And it's
Well, most of them went.
That's right.
And then they looked over at the droids and went.
Martini. Yeah. Tatooine. But yeah, so I had the feeling that, Irving Kershner did the second movie, and then George Lucas said, "Wow, that was a downer. I'm just going to go do my first movie over again." And they did. And I mean, granted, they had a lot more money to work with. The special effects were a lot better. The number of aliens doubled. It's like, yeah, they tried to go back and do the first one, quote unquote, right. And worse, they kind of went at it from a marketing perspective. The first one, I don't think, was how many toys can we make. I think that was in his mind because he claimed the marketing rights from, or the what do they call that? Not the toy rights, but it's merchandising rights. They claimed the merchandising rights from Fox and made a butt ton of money, and basically every movie that came after that had toys associated with it. You didn't see that prior to Star Wars. So he's created this new, Hollywood cottage industry in the merchandising. And by the time you get to the Empire Strikes Back, by the time you get to Return of the Jedi, he's like, okay, this is the last movie I'm going to make for a long time. I really got to, try to squeeze the action figures out of this one. What do I do? Well, you make Ewoks. You make things that appeal to little kids. That was his first stab at Jar Jar Binks.
But they were better.
But if you can call it better.
Well, I would rather watch a bunch of crazy teddy bears with bows and arrows and rocks than a guy going Lusa, and then sticking his tongue in an electrical bolt.
Honestly, if Lucas could have made the rest of the Gungans a little more badass in Phantom Menace, then maybe we would have. Yeah, maybe we would have been a little more forgiving of Jar Jar, because maybe he was the outlier. He wasn't as cool. Maybe he was like the Warwick, the Wicked E. Warwick of the Gungans. But no, he didn't pull it off, and that failed. But I mean, he's like, what can I do to make little kids want to buy everything that comes out of this movie? I could make teddy bears. What a fantastic idea. You look at like the little Gizmo stuffed animals that were flying off the shelves at about the same time, and Lucas said, hey, I want some of that.
Well, Gizmo was a year later, I think.
Was he?
The film came out in 1984, I believe. I don't think the toys came till later.
Well, maybe Gizmo profited from all the Ewoks selling off the shelves.
There you go.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm getting to, is that movie... Of the original trilogy, that one was designed to be a cash cow. It was a rehash of the first movie, except with big dollar signs on it. And that is why I made it number
3.
Yeah.
Steve, you're number 3?
That one's gonna be Star Wars Episode 3. Mostly because this is where I find that I enjoyed the film. There aren't very many moments in it, but there are some. I'll get into the shit moments in a second too, but you have the Emperor, you have Palpatine pushing Skywalker and then explaining about his mentor, who he killed, and all of the things, basically insinuating that at one point he could have caused Anakin to have materialized.
What?
Because there's I don't know if you caught the scene where he's sitting, like the Force has the power to create life if one knows how to channel it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he alluded to that. And the way he worded it, it's almost as if he could have caused the pure, strength of Anakin to have been created from nothing.
What he's saying, Michael, is that
right.
It's basically he's playing off the virgin birth, where Palpatine basically just went up to.
He didn't even have to do that. He could conjure the Force.
Yeah. He basically just went up to the Skywalker chick, pointed at her stomach, and this child will be mine once you have it.
No, he says, "Make my Force, baby."
Wow. Okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, so there's that, and then you get to see Anakin go dark, and then of course you see him slaughter everybody. You see Mace Windu get his ass kicked by Palpatine, who wields dual lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for the downside here. What's
and the Force blast, and then you have the moment where Obi-Wan cuts off all the limbs of Skywalker, and it's like, I didn't mean to do it, and then he cuts off another limb, and then he's like, don't do it, and then he cuts off another limb, and then he's like, don't do it, and then he still cuts off another limb. So then you have this. Then you have this gimpy ass motherfucker laying on the ground, and he's just like, ah, and his little stubs are crawling along, and Obi-Wan's like, "You were the chosen one," which was just so.
Catches on fire.
And he catches on fire, and he just stares at him and he leaves.
And he should have.
He should have at least, did the stop, drop, and roll, put him out first, and then left. But
I was gonna say you should have put him out of his misery instead of just leaving him there to die.
And yeah, you should have just force killed him, or pushed him into the lava the rest of the way or something.
just like put your
lightsaber
hand
through
on
his
his
head
forehead and just right back into the lava.
Kicked him with his boot. As Cobra Commander would say, "Lick my boot, Baroness." And just push him right in the lava. But anyways, and then the last good moment of the film you have is you get to see Yoda and Palpatine fight.
That was kind of that.
The most badass Jedi and the most badass Sith.
Yeah, so, I just didn't. I didn't like that.
For the downsides.
Oh, go ahead. I want to hear the downside.
Okay. You get to see. What a waste Mace Windu is, who's always at Yoda's side and yet can't take down a simple Sith. And he sits there and starts talking as he gets blown out the window. You have Anakin crying like a little bitch through the entire film, and then Amidala is like, "You broke my heart," and then she just dies. Like there's just
she didn't have to die. I mean,
yeah, she didn't have to die. She's like, "Oh, Anakin, you made me die," and then she just dies. Like he's like, "I didn't do anything."
It's terrible too, because it's like, if you could think of any better reason to not die, having kids is pretty strong up there with reasons not to die. It's like, well, my heart is broken and I've lost the will to live. It's like, you have kids.
It's like, bitch, you have 2 kids coming out of you.
Exactly. It's like, it's time to suck it up and just deal with it,
And then she's like, okay, it's time to give them away. Who wants a baby? Baby, who wants a baby? And then they start auctioning them off. And
you get a baby, and you get a baby, and
it's like,
wait, I only got 2.
Babies for everybody. But so I mean, you have that, and then you have, of course, just a lot of the crap surrounding Anakin was just batshit terrible. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of the moments in the film were just so convenient.
Yeah.
And then you get to see Chewbacca, which is cool.
For a half a second.
It was kind of lame though, because Order 66, and then they all start blowing away Jedi, and Yoda's like, "Time to leave."
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yep. So I mean, it was overall an okay movie.
I can't do the Yoda voice, but getting the fuck out of here I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the fuck out of here, I am.
And the Emperor says, and then I threw the Senate at him. No, the whole Senate.
The power of the dark side. Inside my ass.
He threw a Senate at me. What did he throw at you? The Senate, the whole Senate. Yeah, it sucked.
For me, number 3 is, and Michael's probably going to pass out on the floor when he hears this, but Empire is number 3.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
It's Empire is.
What's wrong with it?
It's a down ending. It's God, it's so depressing.
But you got your sequel that you wanted out of it.
Well, yes,
they leave it open for a sequel.
Yeah, I
see what happens when you get what you want. It's not what you want.
Well, no. I was trying to. The whole point in this last bit of conversation was, I was trying to quote Randall. Which did you like better, Empire, Jedi or Empire? Dante says, because Dante is such the downer guy. Empire, blasphemy. Empire had the better ending. he says Empire had the better ending. Han gets frozen by Boba Fett. Luke gets his hand cut off, and it ends on such a down ending, and that's what life is, a series of down endings. And yeah, honestly though, seriously,
the series of down endings. It's true.
It's true. The good parts that I liked about Empire was I liked seeing Cloud City. I liked the relationship or friendship, supposed friendship of Han and Lando, and Billy D. Williams. Everybody knows that that's his role. No one is ever going to play Lando better than he can. In live action anyway, voice acting, I don't know. I don't know if they've ever recast him or anything like that in any other series. But that was when I first noticed him, and every other time I've seen Billy D. Williams anywhere, I'm like, hey, it's Lando.
It's Lando.
Lando's the mayor of Gotham, or Lando's the new DA of Gotham
City. He was already dead.
Yeah. But the revelation that Vader is his father was just shocking. And then the whole lightsaber battle where, I swear to God, the reason why this movie is such a down note, and if you even look at, episode, 2 or 3, whichever one that Anakin got his hand cut, I think it was 2, where he got his hand cut off. Lucas loves dismembering people's left hands or right hands or either hand. He's ambidextrous of, dismemberment of hands. It's like, why can't one of these Jedi lose a foot or something and have them, grow tentacles out of their leg or something? I don't know. It's like, holy crap. You love cutting people's hands off, don't you, George?
You didn't need that hand.
No, he didn't need that hand. It's not an overall bad film. And, this is the top 3. So this is, having it in the top 3, it means that it's, part of the best side of this list. I like the other 2 more. I love the Hoth fight. I love the opening scene. I think that was really, really well done. But I prefer in-space battle action more so than I'm going to try to freeze my son in carbonite, but he doesn't really know that I'm his father. Well, Yoda told him, but he doesn't believe Yoda. All right, number 2, Michael.
So, you just named all the reasons why I made Empire Strikes Back my number 2.
Okay.
Because it might possibly be, I don't want to say my favorite of the trilogy, because it's not number 1, but it had a lot of really cool moments. And that, you've got the epic fight between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and he cuts off his hand, defeats him just utterly. This is where we meet Yoda, and we're totally not ready. It's like, oh wow, that's Yoda! Holy cow, this little green guy. the carbonite scene with Han where he said, Leia says, "I love you," and he says, "I know."
Mm-hmm.
That is just, it goes down as one of the most amazing ad-libbed lines in the history of film. And there's really, oh man, the Hoth scene. I love Hoth. I love it's ironic because I hate being cold, but I love the Hoth scenes. The giant AT-ATs. There's only one way to take them down. You introduce, Lando and Cloud City is just amazing. And a few years later, when they came out with the remastered versions, where he went back and put in all the new CGI, unlike A New Hope, where the new CGI kind of ruined it for me, right? It did nothing but enhance the second movie. So I mean, they added stuff to Cloud City, they added stuff to Hoth. It just made everything look more epic and awesome. Yeah, so no, that was my number 2 Empire.
Steve, number 2.
Empire Strikes Back.
There you go.
I really can't add anything other than what's already been said. It's after I remembered all of the important information that you guys had already brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized why it should be my number 2, not my number 4.
For me, number 2 is Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Yeah, because
you liked so much.
No. Because we finally get to see what Obi-Wan was talking about in A New Hope. The whole time he was telling Luke the story of how, Darth Vader killed Luke's father, and we finally get to see the evolution of what that was. Whether that was what it was going to be in 1977 when Lucas first thought up this whole idea or whatever it is, whether what we got in Revenge of the Sith was what it was originally meant to be. I'm just glad for Revenge of the Sith that we actually get to see the events that Obi-Wan told Luke in A New Hope. I'm glad we get to see those unfold. And it is very interesting to see how the Vader, how he first became Vader, actually in the suit. And, okay, sure, he's pretty much basically a metal skeleton with a, human face. But, it just, it really, really piqued my interest. I'm not so sure. See, this is the thing. There's a discrepancy, and this is kind of where the bad points kind of start for me. There's a discrepancy between Sith and Hope. Is Senator Organa the ruler of all? Is he the king of Alderaan? Because that's the problem here. Is the Senate ruling Alderaan? Because in A New Hope, she says that her father is the ruler of planet Alderaan. So, right. And she is a princess. So that's where, the whole, really analyzing and nitpicking, that's where my nitpicks come in. Because in the third film, he's just a senator. So how did he go from being a senator to a fucking king?
I always had the impression that each planet had its own ruler. And its ruler was, kind of the de facto representative in the Senate. But then they kind of break that on Naboo, where you've got a queen, but you also have a senator.
Right.
Another thing that we can blame on the Phantom Menace, breaking the trilogy.
Well, but that's what I'm wondering though. Did Organa, did Jimmy Smits from NYPD Blue get promoted to king, and therefore when Leia was she was already born. Therefore, when Leia grew up. They just named her Princess. I mean, it's just so.
That was actually her name. They named her Princess.
Yeah. Princess is her first name. Leia is her last name.
Exactly. Princess is her first name.
Yes.
You name her Princess. Oh,
she is no Organa.
The other. Honestly, there isn't all my hate is pretty much for Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I understand Steve's points. Yes, Anakin is still a little bit too much emo, but he's not emo over the. He's more so consumed with wanting power, and wanting. He wants to save his wife by some mystical force power that doesn't, or Palpatine won't show him or doesn't exist. But honestly, out of all 6 films, I've always said this, Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi are my 2 favorites. Like at the top. Every time I make a Star Wars film list, it's going to be the 2 at the top. So, all right, Michael, number 1, of course.
Number 1.
Go ahead.
There's only one left.
Yes.
It's A New Hope.
Yes.
That is the number 1.
Okay, why is it your number 1? Outside of the fact that it was the first film made.
Because it pisses him off that the rest of them don't follow suit.
I find your lack of faith disturbing. It's the best one. Maybe you hit it on the head a little bit. It was the first, in the sense that it was the first movie in Hollywood history that dealt with, epic sci-fi. I mean, you had. I'm trying to think of earlier examples, but there aren't too many, because Lucas was really the first one to do it. And he kind of created a new genre that everyone tried to copy after that. Everyone wanted to jump on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just an untold number of Star Wars clones and wannabes out there. And, some of the stuff is pretty good, right? Some of the TV shows that came out after that were pretty good. And some of the, movies that came out were pretty good. Battle Among the Stars. Oh, trying to think of other, but we all know.
I will say, out of my 34 years on this planet, it took me 27 of those to actually care about the Fets. Okay, sure, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, I'm glad Boba Fett got eaten, and then Jango, when the prequels came out, oh hey, he's decapitated, big deal. He got decapitated by a girl's lightsaber.
It's purple. It wasn't pink. It was purple.
I know it's purple, but some people think that purple is a girl's color. I don't, but some people do.
Purple is a royal color.
Yes, exactly.
Royal pain in the ass.
Kingly color.
A royal pain in the ass. This coming from the guy that loves Beast Wars Megatron. Anyway,
you're the one that loves purple all over everything. That's why it's not on the site.
Yes, it is.
Not to the degree you want.
Well, no, I didn't. Anyway, that's an argument for another day. Anyway,
stay on target.
Troll.
Stay on target.
The point is, wow, you did that amazingly well. The point is that I never, up until a few months ago, way back in episode 66 of the Pullbag, when Ryan Drost from Star Joe's and I reviewed the Jango and Boba Fett 2-issue the miniseries that Dark Horse had done. I didn't care about the Fets at all whatsoever until that. So,
I didn't really. I kind of felt that Jango kind of suffered from the same poor treatment that Darth Maul got. They kind of build up this bad guy like, oh, this guy's gonna be awesome and he's just gonna be so cool, and yeah, he just died.
Yeah.
At least he got to live past one of the movies.
That's true.
Then they put him in a box. Filled with Sarlacc.
The Box Hunter. Steve, you're number 1?
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, we can agree on that pretty much.
I like it because you get the second Death Star that you think is not operational, but then you find out it's a trap! And you get Luke and Vader on the Death Star with Emperor Palpatine, and then Palpatine just is being your typical villain, talking his ass off while Luke is standing there like, okay, you done yet, old man? I'm tired of listening to your shit. And then Vader just stands there like, I don't know what to do. And you have father and son fighting, and Emperor Palpatine's getting off on it in his chair. And then finally, Vader gets knocked down by his much younger and stronger son, and Palpatine's like, I must get some of that, and he goes over towards him and starts electrocuting him, and then you get Vader finally revealing that I'm not a bad dude.
And it takes about 30 years, but you also get Vader going, no!
Yeah. Again.
And then the only bad part about the film is they replace old Anakin at the end with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
And I was like, boo.
Because
that's not my Vader.
Yeah. I love it for the forest battle. I love the bikes. I don't care what anyone says. Those speeder bikes in the forest, that whole battle was amazing. I love it for what the eventual tease is for the love affair between Solo and Leia. The fact that Han Solo actually grows up in this movie and actually gives Lando the keys to the Falcon. The Falcon gets so much more action in this movie. I mean, it had a lot of action in the first film. I don't remember it's been a while since I've seen Empire. I don't remember it having so much action in the second one. But in Return of the Jedi, it gets so much more action. It is the actual ship that actually brings the Death Star down. Absolutely love that. What else do I love about Jedi? One thing I'll say about the added-in scenes or the added-in materials, I love at one of the cuts, I forget which one it is, because there have been so many, because Lucas likes to go back and consistently toy with his original creations. I love when they added in all of the cities after the Death Star blows up. I always have liked that.
Right.
I thought that was amazing.
Because that was your first glimpse of Coruscant.
Yeah.
No one had actually seen Coruscant before that.
Yep. I love that Han basically becomes emo Luke. Or not emo. Han basically becomes emo Anakin. Where he's like, oh, okay, well, you love him and not me, blah, blah, blah.
I won't get in the way.
Yeah. The greatest thing, and I think I'm going to have to embed this in the post for a video. The greatest thing that came out of this movie wasn't anything. Well, it happened in the movie, but the scene with Leia when they go to rescue Han, and she's the one in the bounty hunter suit.
Yeah.
The greatest thing of all time, as an homage to that, is Leonard from The Big Bang Theory showing up at a Comic-Con in that suit at one of the Big Bang Theory panels. It was so amazing.
In which suit?
The bounty hunter suit that Leia was in.
He was the Bausch.
Yeah.
And she goes,
dressed up as Bausch.
Yeah. It was so amazing. Honestly, I've always liked kind of beginnings and endings, and I don't count Phantom Menace as a beginning. I don't count Attack of the Clones as kind of a middle chapter. Where this franchise starts for me is Revenge of the Sith onward. Really, honestly.
Huh. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at it 3 through 6, not 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3.
Right. I see where you're coming from.
So, all right, that I believe is the count. Well, did you give your number 1, Michael? Yeah.
Oh yeah, New Hope.
Yeah. Wait, for number 1?
Number 1 was A New Hope. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember because it was the first and
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there was a lot of there was a lot of firsts in this movie, and it really captured a lot of hearts and minds.
Yeah, and we got Grandma Tarkin.
That's right.
All right. We are going to take a quick break, and we're going to give our predictions for Episode 7, because Episodes 7, 8, and 9 are happening. Then after that, we're going to talk about our final thoughts and thoughts on the future of the franchise after this.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve herder.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel. There aren't enough scoundrels in your life.
All right, so what are our thoughts on, or what would we like to see happen in Episode 7, Michael?
Well, that's a loaded question, and I'll tell you why. Because I followed the extended universe in the books. I read all the books up until probably the last several years, where eventually you get one of the Solo twins turning evil and becoming a Darth.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it's like Darth Caedus or something. And then Luke's wife has to take him down. Or maybe he kills Luke's wife, and someone else and his sister has to take him down. I forget. Anyway, but what I come down to is there's this whole history written from like within 5 years after Return of the Jedi up until like 50 years after Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And so all this stuff happens. And up until just recently, it was viewed as canon. Everything had been signed off by George Lucas.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Disney came in and said, yeah, we're not going to do that. You know, and a lot of people were saying, oh, they're just going to do what was in the books. And, you know, you read the books and you'll have an adaptation. It's kind of like watching, you know, reading the Game of Thrones books and then watching the TV show. Is like, it's not exact, but it's a representation, right? And we kind of thought it would be going that route, but Disney's like, yeah, I don't think that, you know, we're going to keep things separate. You're going to have your movies, which are canon, and your extended universe, which will always be the extended universe, but it's not canon.
Yeah, it's just not canon.
It's not the same thing. It's not a movie.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but I still see parallels here in the casting choices. They say, you know, we're going to have this type of character, and we're going to have this Jedi, this type of character, and then, you know, there's a few hints as to, you know, what's going to happen in Rebels in their new TV series.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see a Jason and Jaina Solo characters coming about, just in the way that they've done their casting.
Mm-hmm.
You know they're going to spend a lot of time on Tatooine. You know, so you can read into that what you will.
God, I hope not. I hope they spend a lot of time on Hoth.
Hoth is cool, but there's really nothing there. But you go to Tatooine and you've got all sorts of aliens you can do. Have you seen some of the pictures that are coming out of Abu Dhabi right now?
Yes.
I mean, they've got they've got the entire Millennium Falcon already done up in set. They've got some type of, you know, Mos Eisley type desert town set up. They've got new creature effects. They've got a lot of miniatures. They've got they've got a pod racing hangar with pod racers in it.
No. That did not happen. That is not canon. I don't care if it wasn't the first film or not.
No,
Mike's like, it's not in continuity.
That's right.
You know, pod racing, it was a huge part of the culture on Tatooine. That was like their Indy 500.
Yeah.
And just because humans couldn't do it didn't mean it wasn't popular there. And so, you know, when they revisit Tatooine, of course there's going to be a hangar with pod racing in it. But the cool thing is that it's like, why is this huge guy crawling through the hangar? You know, and at first you think maybe it's a trick of perspective, but no, they've made these in miniature form. And there's the guy who's the model builder kind of crawling around through the hangar, you know, fixing up the pod racers. It's like, well, that's really cool. So I mean, it's not, you're not visiting Toshi Station. You know, you're probably not even visiting Mos Eisley. You know, you're visiting whatever the really big town that that Anakin originally came from, or where Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin landed in when they visited Tatooine the first time.
Yeah.
So they're going there, and you're thinking, wow, how old is Watto going to be when they revisit him? Because he's going to make an appearance, or, we do know that Jabba the Hutt had a nephew called Stinky the Hutt.
Jesus.
I can just imagine there being a criminal presence there with Stinky the Hutt in charge. Of course, he won't be called Stinky, or
Should
maybe he
call
will
him,
be.
They'll probably call him Django the Hutt.
I forget what Stinky's real name was, but we do know that I want to say Jabba either had a son or a nephew, and it was like a little worm thing that Asako Tano had to rescue in the one movie. But so we can see that character making an appearance. I definitely foresee Luke and Leia being married. I definitely foresee
Not
them
to
having
each other,
twins.
damn it.
No, to each other.
No, come on
No,
now.
I'm sorry. Han and Leia being married to each other.
Thank you.
There you go. And then they have babies. They have the Solo twins.
Yeah.
In the books, they had 3, and the third one was named Anakin. So it'll be interesting. Well, she finally came to grips with the fact that her father was Anakin Skywalker, and she named her third child Anakin. So if we end up with Anakin and Jaina Solo twins, I'd be cool with that. It's close enough to the source material of the extended universe, but still straying from it. But it makes sense. I mean, Jason and Jaina had their own series of books. Mm-hmm. They're all, young adult novels before there were really young adult novels, way back when. But that's what it was. They were written for kids. And so I kind of see those two characters coming along. I can't even imagine what type of bad guy we're looking at, though.
Yeah, because Vader's dead. The Emperor's dead.
Well, yeah, you got to think at this point, we're probably looking at maybe 15 to 20 years after Jedi. So maybe there's remnants of the Empire that are still floating around. Maybe you've got an admiral like Admiral Thrawn. I would welcome a live-action appearance of Admiral Thrawn. He was an excellent character.
Well, wait, didn't Tarkin survive? Tarkin's still alive, isn't he?
Tarkin blew up with a Death Star.
He blew up with the first Death Star.
That's right.
He was on the bridge.
That's right. That's right. He's a captain that went down with his ship. That's right.
If you get a chance to go back and read the Thrawn trilogy, I would totally recommend it. It's just 3 books, and they introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's the only alien admiral in the Empire, and because the Emperor met him and said, "Wow, this guy's way too good not to put to use," but on the other hand, the Empire doesn't like aliens, so I can't leave him here. So he sent him out into the outer regions. And he went out to the outer regions and just wreaked havoc in the Empire's name. And then after the Emperor died, he came home and found that the Empire was in tatters. And he basically said, I'm going to make this right. And yeah, he was just an excellent character. And it's one of those where he totally could have done it if it hadn't been for the
extended universe clause.
Well, I want to say he was. I I forget exactly what happened, but he was murdered.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cool stuff going on.
If young Obi-Wan hadn't ripped open Grievous's chest and basically shot him in the breast, I could see
it was his heart.
Yeah.
Get it right.
I could see a General Grievous type. Like, his General Grievous was both robot. He was cyborg. He was robot and human. I could see something like that, maybe as a remnant of the Empire. But I honestly, when it comes to villains for Episode 7 and what they're going to do next, I honestly have no idea. I just know that I want them to be able to, it's not really my prediction, but it's my hope for it, is that they use Luke, Leia, and Han in a way that makes it worthwhile for us fans that grew up with them, seeing them as those characters. that they use the actors in a decent. And I mean, it's J.J. Abrams. He usually uses most of his actors in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't just want him to do it. I don't just want them to be cameos. Like, here's Han and Leia. They're off on a farm raising babies, and here's Luke. He found Padme's great granddaughter, and they're off having baby. I don't want it to just be a one-off. I want them to be a central part of the beginning of the story, and then, like, when we get to the middle of the film, they pass, or the new characters kind of take over the main arc.
Maybe. I mean, you're going to start with the Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
And in the Jedi Academy, Luke will be there. He's going to be
He's Yoda.
He's going to be the Yoda, And you may or may not have a council.
He's going to be the king dog.
Yeah, no. Luke will be in charge of the new Jedi Order, and he'll be training a number of younglings, let's say, and of those, of the higher graduates of the younglings is going to be Jason and Jaina Solo.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're going to have Leia, who will be, if not the Chancellor, then a high-ranking official in whatever alliance government takes over from the Empire.
Yeah.
So when the Empire splinters and cracks and falls apart, they're going to go back to democracy, and hopefully a better democracy than what the corrupted Senate was from the first trilogy, or the second trilogy, if you call it that. So we'll have some type of political intrigue, hopefully not a whole lot, but whatever happens, whatever political intrigue they have, we'll see Leia and Han saying, we have to take matters into our own hands. Because, of course, Han being an old smuggler, he's going to be like, my blaster can handle this, and they'll climb into the Millennium Falcon and end up on Tatooine.
Yeah. Steve, what are your thoughts on what would you like to see for Episode 7?
The Dark Empire.
The Dark Empire? What?
It's where Palpatine returns in clone bodies.
Right, with the Dave Dorman covers.
Mm-hmm.
All done
and Luke becomes the new Vader, essentially.
Yeah, and the whole thing is done in watercolor.
This is Disney, people. I don't think they're gonna go a dark route in this.
You never know.
No, what was cool though is that the Emperor comes back as a clone, and Hollywood loves clones. And they ended up Emperor create because
he created a slew of them, but his council to more or less sabotage and prevent him from returning poisoned them all.
Ah, yeah, okay.
So that they damaged all of his good clones, and he had used up his last one because every time he uses the Force powers now, it damages the bodies.
Well, the way they explained it, I want to say, is that he used so much dark force energy that his body would just become decrepit almost immediately. And so he kept all these clones on hand that he could just keep passing his consciousness into, so that he would just wear them like disposable suits.
Oh, so it's kind of like having a bunch of protoforms around and putting Master Yoketron into a new protoform.
There you go.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Until it backfired on him.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that series, though, is that he tries to kind of get his feet wet in the dark side, thinking that he could equally wield the dark side and the light side and find a balance.
Right.
But of course he can't. He becomes dark, and then Leia, who's been taking Jedi lessons under him for a while, she has to step up and save Luke, even though her training is incomplete. So she totally does the retread of Return of the Jedi, where she has to go and redeem her brother and say, there is good in you, I know it. And then finally they defeat the Emperor together.
Oh, jeez.
But but the clincher is she's already pregnant with the Solo twins.
Oh, jeez.
And so it's not just her force power that's helping him be redeemed, but her force power and her babies.
Well, the thing is they don't
joining their power together.
Well, they don't actually defeat Palpatine because he just goes into another clone body that they didn't see and goes after them after the fact. Because he's like, oh, she's growing a Jedi baby. That would be perfect for my consciousness. And so he attempts to steal them. And then one of Luke's trainees that was dying anyway jumped in the way and took Palpatine's spirit, more or less, into the Force, so he could never come back out, and all the other past Jedis took him down, so he's buried in the Force forever.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Was that the second series or the first series?
I don't know. I read up on his character.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because I want to say at the end of Dark Jedi or the Dark Empire, they defeated him, but maybe he came back. I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, maybe he came back in the second series. I know there was a Dark Empire 2, but I don't have it.
I think that's where they actually defeated him. Those two.
Okay.
Interesting. All right, we're going to take one final break, and then we are going to close it out with our thoughts on how Disney is handling the brand. But first, a prediction from Steve Megatron. We'll be back after this.
It all began quite a while ago, but I remember it as clearly as if it were a flashback.
There will come a day where he eventually sells it to Disney, and then they make a bunch of money.
I don't think he'll sell it. I think
it's a trap. So, Steve, you had a prediction, and it kind of came true. Holy crap!
I guessed right.
Lucas sold to Disney.
Yeah, damn sellout. But it made sense, though. He already had all this stuff at Disney.
Yeah, for the most part.
I mean, he really did.
So, how do we feel that Disney is either doing so far or going to be doing with the brand of Star Wars? Steve?
I kind of worry about it, only for the fact that Disney... I mean, granted, they've done well with the Marvel stuff, and they have kind of done edgy in it, and it worked. So, I mean, on that ground, I could see it working. Plus, Lucas's people are still in place despite being owned by Disney.
Yeah.
So the vision isn't really gone, but he has, like, zero say at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's more of a consultant at this point, so I feel a little bit safer knowing that he can't fuck it up compared to the prequels. So, plus you have the badassery of having the original cast involved with this new trilogy to some degree. Whether some of them get killed off along the way or some of them survive or whatever, it remains to be seen. I kind of am excited to see what the plot will be and what progression will have taken place over the last 30 years in the story and, you know, from the Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, it should be interesting. I just hope that they don't... I hope that Abrams doesn't lens flare the crap out of it. Like, he's good. He's a good director. The problem is he loves his lens flares, and if used correctly, you don't have to have like 10 of them in place. You can actually have just, you know, one. Because the Star Trek films were riddled with it, and it was kind of annoying. And Star Wars is even less so because in need of it because it's supposed to be dark and gritty. Because it's all practical effects, not special effects. So I'm hoping that he kind of keeps with the vibe that was going with the original trilogy, and not kind of modernize it too much.
Right. I think the brand is going well. Of course, we're coming up on the first new film since 2006.
It's been a while.
I think that's when not Empire. Wow. When Revenge came out. I know Michael thinks that a certain game franchise has now jumped the shark since it's now going to Transformers, but I loved it when Angry Birds went Star Wars. I thought that was so hilarious to have those characters, those core of birds add Star Wars powers to them. It was so amazing. Anyway,
These aren't the birds you're looking for.
Oh, stop it. I'm not so much into, like, I'm optimistic about the Clone Wars. I know everyone keeps telling me, "Oh, it's so great, it's so great, it's blah blah blah," and I just haven't had the time to really get into it. I know I didn't like Tartakovsky's Clone Wars digital series thing that he did. Droids was all right back in the day. Ewoks is still bad. I have yet to really delve into a lot of the Star Wars comics from Dark Horse. As I said earlier in the episode, I did review Jango and Boba Fett is Dead, and I have kind of gained a new appreciation outside of the films for those two characters, but in the film universe, they still both suck. I'm really interested to see what I believe it's. Is it July 29th? I forget. I saw an ad for it the other night. I'm really interested to see how Phineas and Ferb are neighbors to Luke, because Phineas and Ferb Star Wars is coming out this summer, so I'm really interested to see that. I think Disney's doing okay so far. I mean, they've kept the toy licenses where they're supposed to be, and I do know that the Dark Horse ongoing and the Dark Horse license is going to end sometime soon because Marvel is going to be taking...
2015 it's supposed to end.
Okay.
They're basically allowed to finish out their current storylines, but they're not to start anything new. Because Marvel is going to be publishing them once more, which I also predicted.
Bring it all in-house.
Once they bought Marvel,
Yeah.
Before they bought Lucas, I even said that. I says, watch. I says, and then when they get Star Wars, they're gonna cancel Dark Horse and they're gonna go right back to Marvel like they did in the '80s.
Yep. That's one of the reasons why I hope Disney never, ever, ever, ever buys Hasbro, because the Transformers will go back to Marvel, and I love it at IDW right now. Anyway, whole other topic. I think, Disney, with Disney and Star Wars, I think they're doing a lot of really, really cool stuff. I don't think Disney has really screwed the pooch on anything yet. Of course, films, we'll have to wait and see. Who do you guys think they're... Is JJ directing all three of the trilogies, or just the first? Is he just
the first for the moment?
Okay.
So I thought he was contracted for all three, but the other spin-off movies, the Yoda movie, the Boba Fett movie, the Han Solo movie, they're having different directors for those.
I'm not sure. I was just specifically meaning episodes 7, 8, and 9. I don't know if he's actually...
I want to say I read somewhere that he was contracted for all three.
He might be.
You could probably find out with a quick Google search.
So, I mean, overall, has there been anything that has offended you guys as far as the direction Disney has gone?
I wouldn't say offended. I mean, basically, they've got one thing they can do to recoup the $4 billion they paid for this franchise.
Mm-hmm. It's called Make a Big-Ass Movie.
Make a big-ass movie, yeah. I mean, they've got 3 movies right out the gate, 7, 8, and 9. They've got at least 3 more movies that they said that they intend to make. And again, I'm pretty sure Boba Fett is 2016. So they're gonna release the standalone movies every year in between the regular trilogy or the third trilogy movies. So you've got a Yoda movie. I'm pretty sure you've got a Han Solo movie. I want to say that one's going to be third. It may or may not tie into the Boba Fett movie.
Do you think the Solo movie will be the twins and not... how...
No,
I know that
from what
they're planning on doing young Solo.
They're doing young Solo, yeah. From what I've read, they're doing...
So they're pulling a Dumb and Dumber. Great.
They might actually try to pull off a movie where Han Solo meets Chewbacca.
Chewie.
Yeah.
Or you could do one whole movie with this, have him meet Chewie and Lando in the same movie.
That would be awesome, actually.
Really cool, yeah.
I would pay to see that, and Maybe there's like a young Admiral Tarkin or something that they have, they run afoul of. I mean, that would be
I know
too
what
cool.
your fate's gonna be. Boom.
They're talking, from what I understand, they're talking about like a heist movie. Like,
oh no.
No, they're talking like Ocean's 11 in space.
Oh, okay. For a second.
Where Han Solo and let's say Billy D. Williams, Orlando Calrissian have to break into a maximum security prison to rescue Chewie or something. Like a maximum security Empire camp or something where they have to go in and rescue a bunch of Wookiees for some reason, and one of them pledges a life debt to him.
For a second there, when you said a heist movie, the first thing I thought of was like, oh no, Optimus Solo won't be watching that if it's a heist movie based around Fast and the Furious. I can just see it now. Fast and the Furious, pod racing style. God. All right. Do we have anything else we want to say about Star Wars? Steve, did you have anything else you want to bring up?
Not really. I mean, I think we kind of covered
everything. Yeah.
I want to know where the video games are.
Lucas canceled them.
Well, no, you can't say that because LucasArts had all these. I want to say that LucasArts had several games in the hopper, a couple that were almost done, and then when Lucas sold the rights over to Disney, Disney then stepped in and said, "Yeah, we don't really have a video game division, so you guys." You have to shut all this stuff down, and everybody went home. They closed the doors. Everybody went home, and all these games that were almost finished, fell by the wayside. So there was a Star Wars. Was it 1313? Or no, Level 13, or I think it was Level 13, and it started off as a game about bounty hunters, bounty hunters on Coruscant. Which is like, I think it was level 1313, which was like 1,000 levels down below Earth, below the top level, is where the worst scum on Coruscant live, and deal. And the idea was you were going to be a merchant or something that had to deal with bounty hunters or something. And then somewhere along the way that changed into like a first-person shooter where you were Boba Fett. And then that changed. And I guess what would happen is every couple of months, George Lucas would say, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And then he walked into LucasArts and told them what he wanted, and everything changed, and everybody had to scramble to change the game. And because they couldn't agree on a scope, it just went on like that for a year or two, and then eventually died. But they were saying, well, maybe it'll get sold to EA, or maybe they'll do something, or maybe who's going to get the distribution rights? Who's going to finish this because LucasArts is down? But now they're saying that Star Wars Battlefront, just got a new trailer at E3, so they're saying that's coming back. And someone had said there's a rumor that 1313 might be being shopped around. Someone's going to have to distribute that or finish it and distribute it. I mean, there's a lot of cool concepts out there that I don't think, got out the door. They're interesting, and I love video games. I would totally buy the hell out of these. I mean, someone somewhere is sitting on them. And
it's Lucas. He's farting all over them.
He's just farting. No disintegrations. It's
disintegration, Starscream.
This is bad sodomy. Yeah. So that was my main complaint is where are the video games? I don't want to see social iPhone crap. Lego. What is that? The Lego Clone Wars game they tried to put on the iPhone that was just awful. I want to see big budget games. I want to see the Call of Duty of Star Wars.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on GCR episode 66. Next time around, we are starting the Syndication Spotlight, where each episode from, I think, episodes 67 to 72, we will be highlighting our syndicated partners. What's on Joe Minds, Star Joe's, Mark 42's Hooniverse, Turtle Flakes, Honkout Cast Podcast, Punisher Body Count. Am I forgetting anybody, Steve?
I don't know.
All right. Unleash the geek in you, and we will catch you next time.
The Force will be with you, always.
You've just listened to GeekCast Radio on the GeekCast Radio Network. There are several ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. First, visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on all of our different podcasts. Second, you can rate our show and leave us feedback in iTunes. Third, follow us on Twitter at GeekCast Radio. Fourth, become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCast Radio. Call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for and your name. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.